Today on AniLysis, we're looking at one of the most obscure characters of the series. Or are we? It's a character who had basically half a page of screen time. But ask any Animorphs fan, and they probably remember him to some degree or another. Maybe that's because he's in the first book, book 1, The Invasion, or maybe because what happened to him left scars upon many of our brains. I'm talking, of course, about, well, you know already because you've probably seen the thumbnail and the title of this video. I'm talking about the homeless guy that we saw at the start of book 1. Do you remember?
Yeah, actually, when you mentioned that, I knew exactly what you were talking about.
Exactly. So he gets half a page of book time, and yet most Animorphs fans will remember him. So this is our little tribute to the homeless guy in book 1, The Invasion. The most anyone's probably ever talked about him. That's going to be a theme with these Animorphs videos. So what do we know about the homeless guy? Well, firstly, he has no name, and he's only ever referred to as the homeless guy. So firstly, let's find out what the context is for this man's appearance, okay? So we've just seen Elfangor crash land and be eaten alive by Visser 3's big massive morph. And then the Animorphs have been spotted and they're running away and they get separated, and Jake is being chased by at least one, probably a few, Hawk-Bajir. He then stumbles upon a building. I saw a dark hole ahead and raced towards it. A doorway. Inside, it was as black as a grave. It was one of the buildings that had almost been completed. Just bare concrete walls and scattered junk. But I knew I had been in here before. Mark and I had walked all through it. There were hallways and little side rooms. It was like a maze. This building is in the construction site, the notorious construction site. We all know what it is, why it's there, and yada yada yada. And this is where the homeless guy lives. So Jake wanders into this half-made building. You probably know what it looks like. A building for which the structure has all sort of been made, but there's probably no windows, no actual doors, and everything's just the grey of concrete and brick. Okay, so how do we come across this chap? Had there been a passageway? Yes, there it was. As silently as I could, I slipped into it. The flashlight beam was just centimetres behind me. I kicked something soft. Hey! It was a man. He had been lying on the ground, wrapped in a blanket. Hey, get out of here! This is my place, and I ain't got nothing for you to steal. I started to warn him, but one of the Hawk-Bajir was there. The flashlight landed on the homeless man's face. He blinked like an owl. This is really as close as we get to any form of description of who this guy is. We get a couple of lines from him, and he's not happy that Jake is encroaching on his patch. And then what happens to the homeless guy? Well, in that quote, we heard about the flashlight beams following Jake. Those are being held by the controllers, be it Hawk-Bajir or humans, okay? So Jake then scampers to the side, and this happens. The homeless guy screamed. I heard the sound of a scuffle. Maybe the guy got away. I hope so. But I never found out, because with the Hawk-Bajir distracted, I ran. And that's basically as much as we get about this homeless guy. Jake sneaks away, and then the Hawk-Bajir come in, find this homeless guy. There's a sound of a scuffle, and then nothing, and Jake just legs it. He has no idea what happens to this homeless guy, what goes on there. Do we have any clues of what might have happened to this homeless guy? Well, yes, we do, because what we can only assume to be Chapman's voice is heard just before this happened, and he says this. No need to capture them. Whoever you find, kill. So unfortunately for the homeless guy, he was probably killed. Very, very likely, because if the Hawk-Bajir have been given the order to just kill, they're not going to hang around, even though saying that, in most books, it's a trope, isn't it? The bad guy will hover over the victim and then laugh manically and sort of flail around and fall into a hole or something, or somebody will Deus Ex Machina in with a machete and cut them. Something like that. That's the trope, isn't it? So that might have happened. Maybe he got away. But you know what? I doubt it. Because firstly, he's lying down. He's not going to move very fast. He probably can't see anything. There's a flashlight in his face. And then suddenly, big lizard alien monster comes in and there's a scuffle. So, what do you think? Do you think he died?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gone.
why is this guy notorious? Okay, why is he so well known by the Animorphs community? Well, first, he's in the first few chapters of the first few books. And if you know anything about media, the first of anything is always the most viewed. Look at any video series on YouTube, and you'll see that the first video of the series typically will have by far the largest number of views. So he's probably been read about quite a lot by the Animorphs community. Secondly, he's one of the very first characters that is killed by the Yeerks. Of course, you've got Elfangor, who was killed by the Yeerks, but after him, he is the first, for want of a better word, innocent victim of the Yeerks that we see in the books. This random homeless guy who just so happened to get in the way. We see the true evil of the Yeerks. Okay? Even though technically you could say, oh, we saw the evil when he killed Elfangor, but that's an enemy combatant. It's slightly different, and there's a slightly more evil tone to just killing this random homeless guy. So he's basically the red shirt. If you've ever watched Star Trek, you know what I'm talking about when I say red shirt. Red shirt is
First to die, expendable.
Always the expendable, first to die person, and that is what Mr. Homeless Guy is. And I think to honour him, we should give him a name, rather than just the Homeless Guy. What do you reckon we should call him? Cedric.
That's hateful.
How's that hateful?
Because all the Harry Potter fans are going to be upset.
Harry Potter fans. Which one was Cedric again?
The one that got killed by Voldemort in the book 4.
The one like, oh, okay. Harold. Harold?
Yeah, and Cedric's it's more of a British name.
Maybe he was a British homeless person.
Well, you gave him a southern accent, so I doubt it.
I gave him a southern... Alright, let's read it in a British accent, okay? Hey, get out of here. This is my place, and I ain't got nothing for you to steal. There we go, now we Cedric. Cedric the homeless guy. You know, I try. I'm married now, this is all I get.
And breakfast, lunch, dinner, and coffee.
Yeah, whatever. Go do the dishes.
And back roads.
No, fair
I
enough.
already did the dishes, thank you.
Okay. I've been quite firmly put in my place. So that is the homeless guy. We can only assume that he was the red shirt and he got killed. But obviously, Animorphs in the first part of the series, it sort of shied away from the more gruesome stuff. You can only imagine in the later books, probably would have been a bit more graphic. Maybe. But yeah, that's the homeless guy. And there really isn't that much more to say, because needless to say, he doesn't appear again. And that's all we ever got from him. But this is our little tribute to Cedric, the homeless guy who was unfortunate to get in the way of the Yeerks at the very start of the series. The first true innocent who fell victim as far as the books are concerned. Okay, so thank you very much for watching. This has been another AniLysis. We've already had a few suggestions for the next ones. Somebody suggested Helmicrons, somebody suggested ants. I will be doing an AniLysis for the various morphs as well, so like Antmorph will probably have its own AniLysis, or ants in general. So yeah, there's going to be many more to come. Thank you all for watching this episode of AniLysis, and I hope to see you next time. See you later.